rolling up in blacked out cars, talking like they own the stars, smiling for the camera flash, hands in your pocket, counting cash. Trust us, this time they'll stay. Same old trick in a brand new script. Waving papers, selling hope. Fine print line is a velvet rope. Blue suit, black heart, saying we feel your pain from the country club bar. Big speed, fake tears. Every 4 years they remember we're here. They're saving the world on a t-shirt sign while they're sipping that vintage red on your dime. Blue suits, black hearts, they love the power more than the people they mark. Every problem, they've got plans. Step 1, take more from your hands. Step 2, pick a team to blame. Step 3, walk off with the game. Talking justice, talking care, till you ask, hey, why's my street bare? They built mansions on those dreams, then called you cruel when you asked what it meant. Blue suits, black hearts, saying we feel your pain from the country club bar. Big speeds, fake tears. Every 4 years they remember we're here. They're saving the world on a t-shirt sign while they're sipping that vintage red on your dime. Blue suits, black hearts, they love the power more than the people they mark. Raise your hand if you're tired of the show. Same old play in a thrift store coat. They talk like saints, vote like sharks, writing your life with invisible marks. Blue suits, black hearts, saying we feel your pain from the country club bar. Big speed, fake tears. Every 4 years they remember we're here. They're saving the world on a t-shirt sign while they're sipping that vintage red on your dime. Blue suits, black hearts, yeah. The mask falls off when the cameras go dark. Blue suits, black hearts, we're ducking.
Hey, hey,
I
boo
believe
boo.
we're live.
Live and national.
Hello, everybody, and welcome
Right.
to California Free Radio. I'm Mike Netter, accompanied tonight by Scott Piotr. Kurt's on assignment, as we say. Everyone out there, help us share this show. X is being a bit weird tonight, so if you can help share this to the various communities you're in, that would be great. We are on Facebook at Netter Mike, blasting throughout the Rebuild California groups, and of course, LinkedIn and Outrage, our channel. Scott, it's been quite a week here in California with the debate that we've been having.
Oh yeah, I can't wait to hear you talk about the debate. You were there in live and in person.
I was indeed in Pomona, thanks to the Steve Hilton team. Scott, I don't know if you got the clips ahead of time, but I encourage everybody to watch in Netter News, the evening edition that we put out tonight. Did you miss it? We actually have a lot of the replay of the debate in a YouTube link. And I really encourage you, whether you're right, whether you're left, especially if you're right, to watch the debate. I thought CBS did a pretty good job with it, quite honestly, and those that disagree with the rotating moderator every half hour. But I want to give a shout out for starters for the candidates to Julie Watts. She did a great job of keeping the folks in line. Also, if you really want to get what the Democrats do and don't stand for, take a look a lot of what the candidates were saying. Scott, weigh in on this for me for a second.
You know, I sat there and I looked at some of the clips you sent around. One of them with Katie Porter. I mean, first of all of these Democrats, now they added two more. So there were 8 on the stage. It was really hard to kind of get anybody to shine above everybody else. But they brought in Thurmond, who is the current state superintendent of schools, and Villaraigosa, who's the former LA mayor. And, to be honest with you, they look like they were brought in for DEI purposes, right? They were brought in to bring some color and diversity to the stage because they didn't bring any real substance. And it was just awkward trying to get your 2 cents in. You had a couple of the candidates that tried to really step out, and some of them, did better than others. But it's just, I'm sorry, it's just embarrassing. These Democrats are trying to see who can go further to the left. Like, that's working for the state right now? I mean, come on, really? It's a blue state governed by one party, and we're falling off the edge of the cliff, and everybody thinks, hey, let's go further left. I don't get it.
Well, a couple takeaways from the candidates you mentioned, which I found interesting. Tony Thurmond mentioned, and I don't know how many people picked up on this. I saw one news article did. My buddy Drew actually texted me from across the theater, if you will. Apparently, Tony Thurmond, to make ends meet as superintendent of schools, he pays a pretty decent salary, has a second job. Did you know that, Scott?
No. What does he do? Uber. He's an Uber driver.
We don't know, but he literally says, and I went back and looked again, that he has a second job because it's so tough to make ends meet in California. And that is beyond.
You got to be kidding me. How much does that guy make? He's got to make like $180,000 a year.
He should make enough to make ends meet. It's beyond insanity. He would actually say it and then also say he wouldn't want to have cut taxes. Want to go back to Villaraigosa, who you talked about, who literally, when challenged by Julie Watts, had mentioned something. He says, well, that was like a light years 45 years ago. So Antonio, as he calls himself, is not actually his real name, by the way. He kind of took that name on when he went into politics so he would sound more Hispanic, is literally running history that's so ancient. It sounds like something that when you visit the Roman Colosseum.
So wait a second, you're talking about Villaraigosa? Who are you talking about? Villaraigosa. Yeah, it's like, is that the name of a river or what? By the way, Thurmond's salary is $210,000 a year.
Mm-hmm.
And he's having a tough time making ends meet.
Plus expenses. And by the way, the expenses for these guys are pretty intense. The state Senate pays less than half that. And by which I'm running for a quick plug here, in the per diem for state Senate, which I'm trying to figure out how I would spend it, and if I did, it's $217 per day. Thurmond's is a lot more, so why he needs a second job makes you wonder what he's doing on the side, because we certainly know it's his main job. He's not running the schools of California.
No, I think he's letting the California Teachers Association run the schools. He's in their pocket.
I can't even begin to say legally on the air what the CTA is doing, some of the things they're proposing. There's actually, because they're worried about Sonia Shaw winning, they're actually running around this week trying to pass legislation, which I question if it's legal or illegal, to curtail the powers of the superintendent of schools, because I think they're worried that somebody beside a leftist Democrat would get one of those 8 offices.
Wait a second. Who's talking about limiting their role? The legislature?
The legislature, the state Senate, of which I'm trying to become part of, has legislation forward that Newsom is backing to change the scope and power of the superintendent of schools, which is what the elected position in California.
So they're that afraid of Sonia Shaw that she's going to win?
Apparently, they're afraid of losing any of the 8. And that's what you saw in the debate, everybody, a lot out there before we get to individual candidates. It's the same Democrat talking points. As was mentioned by, I think Steve Hilton did a great job. I thought Chad Bianco did a good job. Hilton actually shut down at the beginning of the debate when I believe it was Becerra went to the Trump card. And Scott, I think the video you sent me late last night, you were trying to point out that Julie Watts had mentioned that when they interviewed all these candidates ahead of time, they did a word count. And the Democratic candidates, had mentioned Trump in their interviews over 1,000 times.
You, you got to be kidding me. It's like Trump, Trump, Trump. They have Trump derangement syndrome. Everything they do is going to be, I hate Trump more than the other guy hates Trump because they think that's going to get them votes.
And hi, Stephanie, by the way, who helps us share across Facebook. Yes, and that's their main tagline. And the point about rising taxes and rising this and rising whatever, rising gas prices, they're trying to blame on Trump. Trump's been in office only about a year. The Democrats have been in charge for about 20, and every problem that they're discussing is basically evolved from the Democrats, and it's the same talking points, and none of them, zero of them, wanted to actually cut the gas tax.
None of them wanted to suspend it, you mean?
Suspend it, cut it, do anything with it. The theory being, how will we keep our roads going? Becerra went on and on about that. I sent you that clip earlier, Scott. You may have not got it or not. Here's the reality. Our roads suck. The system, our roads are rated one of the worst in the country. It doesn't work. I stopped by a nearby gas station today. I'm well outside Los Angeles, and gas is approaching $6 a gallon. We used to be $1.50 higher than the rest of the country. We're now $2 higher than the rest of the country. So for those of you keeping score at home, it's not Trump's fault. It is the fault of the layers of bureaucracies and other things that we put on top of California, and of course Tom Steyer. And I want to spend a little bit of time on Steyer tonight. Tom Steyer immediately goes to the fact that, we're gouged by the oil companies. They're reaping all these profits, that they make a lot more money when when the gas prices go up. That's not actually true. And a great video I saw this week by Ramin and a couple other people. Scott, does it ever strike you as strange that apparently the oil companies only want to gouge California? None of the other 49 states have actually accused them of that.
It is funny, kind of funny how that works, right? I was traveling, visiting my son in Kentucky, and the gas is almost half of what it is in California. And it's not like it's easier to get refined gas to the middle of the stinking country compared to being something, somewhere on the coast like California. There is no other explanation. People keep talking about the 71 cents a gallon that's California tax. That's not right. First of all, as the price goes up, the sales tax goes up too. And being $6 a gallon, the sales price is almost 60 cents. The sales tax is almost 60. In Los Angeles, the sales tax is 9 3/4. So call it 10%. So $6 gas means 60 cents of that is going to the state in the form of sales tax. That's on top of the 71 cents of gasoline taxes. And then in addition to that, you have the what we call the climate change hoax tax. And that's where they get the, CARB sits there and sells credits to the refineries that they have to buy. And there's fewer and fewer credits every year. That's their way of using the market. It's funny how nobody's in favor of free market, except when it comes to regulation. So they have to spend more and more to buy credits because they can't stop polluting because they're dealing with gasoline. As much as they try and recover and keep from venting into the air and all this other stuff, they're going to get them. So some people are saying that number is somewhere between 40 and 75 cents a gallon. So all in all, we're looking at like $1.25 to $1.50 per gallon for taxes in California. You can't just count the excise
You
tax.
actually bring up another excellent point for those of Los Angeles County. There is a measure to raise the sales tax in LA. For those of you that think it's a half cent, it's not going to affect you that much, Scott just made a great point and didn't even know it. So I'm going to keep going on that one. It actually raises your gasoline prices. And although it may not seem like much at a half cent or a penny, I want you to think how many that's going to be on how many gallons you buy each year. Again, layer upon layer upon layer of taxes.
Yeah, you're talking about the
And
vehicle miles traveled.
no, I'm talking about just in LA County. Measure EE is to raise sales tax.
By the way,
You don't live in
I looked
LA.
it up. I misspoke. The sales tax rate in Los Angeles is 10.25%.
Correct. And they want to up it to approximately 11%, which again will affect you in everyday life. And I think Becerra, it's really hard to keep up with their rhetoric, but as I think Becerra may have said, he said, we actually have a revenue problem, not a spending problem, which I just find amazing that he would even say.
Wait a
that.
second. Those words actually left his mouth?
Those words left his mouth. He's the same guy the words left his mouth that California gave Newsom an A on homelessness.
Oh, yeah. Newsom's doing such a bang-up job on homelessness. Okay, so we as Republicans will sit there and say, we don't have a revenue problem, we have a spending problem. And Becerra had the gumption or the stupidity to sit there as he doubles down on the Democratic narrative. We don't have enough money. We need to figure out how to get more money. We don't have a spending problem. Right. How about all the fraud that's going on in immigrant medical care and the hospice care? I mean, they're providing fake boobs and sex change operations for illegal immigrants. If you're an illegal immigrant, you get free health care, free Obamacare.
And none of them wanted to address that head on, which I found incredibly interesting, that none of them wanted to address that head on.
You mean the fake boobs or the medical care for illegal immigrants?
Well, let's go with the fake boobs or the medical care or the fraud or the whole thing to begin with. None of them really wanted to talk about on the Democratic side.
Surprise, surprise.
It was just with the personalities on stage for the Democrats. Also, full disclosure, I met Matt Mahan ahead of time. So, ran into him outside, got a photo taken. Pretty normal guy. He's the best of the worst. The rest of them, who I have now been in the room with at some point, are pretty strange individuals. I'm a Hilton fan. Everybody knows that. I've been in the room with him and Chad a million times and many of these other candidates. However, there was a candidate. It was the first time I'd ever been in his actual physical presence. And I was a little bit shocked by it. And Scott, you're going to want to know which candidate that is.
Which candidate was that?
Thank you. That was Tom Steyer. Now,
wait a second. You liked Tom Steyer?
No, I didn't like him. I was shocked by him. And
What
shocked by things.
What shocked you?
I'm getting there. So full disclosure so everybody knows out there. And you can look it up. I'm 69 years old. Okay?
Yeah, you're old.
Thomas, is about 6 months younger than me.
Okay, so he hasn't turned 69 yet.
No. His birthday's in June. And I went to John Phillips, talked about us on the show. We talked about it to John Phillips and Randy afterwards. We had a little dinner. And a lot of people, when you see Tom Steyer in person, he does not look well. He looks like early Bidenitis is setting in. And I'm not saying this to be mean or saying this because when you see him, his reactions to questions are relatively slow, like his brain locks up a little bit.
Okay, are you saying he's Biden-like? Or
He's almost like
pre-Biden?
Biden. I'm It's weird, Scott, because he doesn't move like I move necessarily or you move. And by the way, before Scott makes fun of my age, he ain't much younger. Okay.
Yeah, like
It's
not.
y'all people, you idiots. And this is nothing. You could be 80 and be young, you could be 30 and be old.
Oh yeah,
Tom
look at the
Steyer,
energy that Trump's got at nearly 80.
yeah, Tom Steyer does not look well. He really doesn't. And for those of you out there
So he gives
who
new
have
definition of the term pasty white.
just his movements, and I want people to think about something. The majority you've seen of Tom Steyer has been on where, Scott?
TV commercials
Uh-huh.
or the
Tape
debate stage.
65. They're all edited. It was the first time I'd seen him live. And also, when you see them edited, he's not speaking before a live crowd. I'm trying to think of the last Steyer rally I'd ever seen, and I couldn't think of one. So just be aware out there that if you are voting for Tom Steyer, which I doubt too many people watching our show, vote very carefully for lieutenant governor.
So they should vote for Gloria Romero for lieutenant governor if they're going to vote for Steyer. If you're a
100%.
Democrat out there, vote for the former Democrat Gloria Romero for lieutenant governor. She is an independent
And
thinker.
that's something else. Yep, that needs to be covered. We have a really good slate of candidates this time. And although the other offices, mine included, Mike Netter for state senate, don't have debates, we at the state level, and of course at the state senate level, thanks to me, have an incredibly strong slate of candidates. We have Gloria. We've been over this before. This is on my feed. It's everywhere we go. But I believe it's the strongest slate we've had. Who is that handsome? The guy that remember when you look at my picture?
Has this photo been retouched?
No, actually, it hasn't. Unfortunately, not. I
Just-
don't have that kind of money.
Just better lighting than what you currently have on your face. Got it.
Exactly. And by the way, it's fascinating when you look at Steyer, who didn't look good on stage. Speaking of touch, he's got all the money in the world, and that was the best they could make him look, knowing he was going to be on TV. And they certainly have done a job on Katie Porter, all puns intended. By the way, did you see Katie Porter fall on her podium?
I'm sorry. See her what?
She did this on, I don't know what she was trying to get attention. She kind of laid her head on top of her podium with her arms over it.
No, I never saw that. I don't think they showed that on video. She must have done.
was
She must have
pretty.
done that off camera.
She might be dead, or the cameras didn't pick it up, but it actually was kind of a riot. It just, the theatrics that each of the Democrats were trying to do to steal theatrics from each other. Look, again, I think Chad Bianco will be a fine number 2 choice. I thought he did a pretty good job, especially making an excellent point on Katie Porter. And Scott, I'm going to ask you on the air. You sent me the video last night. You said, look at 35, 40, you said 45 to 60. What did you want me to see exactly you were trying to point out?
Oh, you were there live, and you were crossing the audience.
Correct.
At
I was
that
on
time,
live TV.
right?
Okay, yes, I tweeted about that. I was picked up on live television, and for those wondering who that formerly spry young guy was, that was me. Yes, indeed, right behind Julie Watts there. But the interesting point that I thought you were trying to make, besides of course saying who is that handsome man who should have been Brad Pitt's stunt double, which was me, was that it was interesting to hear. How do I put it? The arguments the Democrats were making on certain subjects, especially the one on just on the oil companies, and the fact Porter's talking about clean energy, how it's going to pump up this, that, and the other, how they preach against everything that's the free end of the economy. And of course, Trump 1,000 times, which is in about the same section of the video when I was scrolling across the room. So I probably caught on that. But you take a look at this guy. He don't look that.
Yeah, these are
And
actually
listen-
photographs from the debate.
Yep. Look at this guy. Just take a second and look at him.
Yeah, he does not look all there. He's going Biden-esque on us a little bit.
Hmm. And you can see when he's asked a question, his mind locks up for a little bit. He's not quick on his feet, and I get it. That's not a beat or a hack. He just doesn't look like somebody you would meet and say, "This is a well guy." Again, this is a picture. Is this from the debate or is this staged?
This happened to been on a I won't call it a rally, but he was making a public announcement, I think, at this time.
Okay, well, what I'm saying is these are staged photos. They're taken from it, and that's the majority that we see of him. So just take that for what it's worth. I don't think you can buy your way to the governor's seat, but I didn't see someone who was sharp, who even had much policies except ranting and raving against stuff. Becerra, the part I saw where Steve Hilton had a great point where Becerra is declaring he would declare emergency, this, that, and the other on insurance. And Hilton goes, "Have you read the law?" And Becerra goes, I was the AG. You can't declare a state of emergency on insurance companies. It's just not in the law. We're able to do it. And this is Becerra's big thing. You're going to go in and declare a state of emergency of everything. I have deeply researched this. Many of the things that Becerra was talking about simply can't be done.
Oh, well, you want to play that clip?
Yeah, I do want to play that clip because I think it's a really important point because it's running around polling clips today. Many of the Democrats are like, "Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, look at Becerra." Listen to this. Watch. Go ahead and let's roll a couple of these clips here.
Let me see if I can get this to play. We're live and national.
We are live. We are having it's an interesting technical night here at California Free Radio, which is why we're free. We don't have a staff.
Yep, exactly. One of these days, I'll be able to figure this stuff out. Good question. Okay, let's try this.
He said that he would declare a state of emergency on insurance. Have you read the statute that sets out the governor's emergency powers?
I've actually defended the governor in any number of forms when I was Attorney General for the state
Have
of
you
California.
read the emergency powers statute?
I have read the statutes before.
Well, then in that case, you would know that what you're proposing is not in there. You can't
That's
do
not
it.
correct. That's not correct. When you declare a state of emergency, you have extraordinary powers. Now, that doesn't abridge
Yes, but
the
they're very
Constitution,
specifically
but it
described
does
in the
give you the
statute.
opportunity, if I could answer, it does give you the opportunity to do things with the insurance commissioner, with the industries that let you try to come to a negotiated solution. To just let the insurance companies run over us, to let them just tell my mom they're canceling her policy after 30 years.
I don't think
should not
he
work
has read
in this state of
Julie.
I am
California.
looking forward to seeing what happens when you do that because, I mean, I've been told that you can't do it, but you are the former AG. And I have to tell you all.
I'm the only
But sorry.
candidate who's actually declared a state of emergency
We
in this
can't have
country and been
we
able to
can't have
deploy
a governor.
resources
We
and
can't
personnel
have a
to
governor who
respond.
doesn't understand how the government works.
And we don't need a talking head from Fox News to tell us how the government
Okay,
works.
y'all are paying millions of dollars for attack ads, so let's keep those on the commercials. By the way, great new commercial today, sir.
Thank you. We've got lots of ideas for all your questions.
And we are live, so please.
So, Steve Hilton sits there and brings up the fact that the former attorney general for our state, who you would think would understand the laws of the state very well, evidently has never read the Emergency Powers Act and exactly what his scope is and what he can and can't do as governor. And so what does he resort to? Name calling. Well, you're just a Fox News talking head. What do you know?
Who's surrounded, by the way, with some pretty smart people. Hi, Magdalena, by the way. I didn't give you a shout out last week. It's good to see you on tonight from San Francisco.
Wait.
I also want to add a couple, speaking of legal terms here, another interesting thing they came out is, Villaraigosa, whatever you say his name.
Villaraigosa.
He failed the bar 3 times?
Did he eventually pass it?
No, he didn't take it a fourth. He never eventually passed it.
Okay, so
He
he's
also changed his
a
original
dumb
last
politician.
name.
Oh, wait a minute, that's redundant. Sorry.
Yes, he also. So for those of you thinking, just because this guy Becerra was AG, he was an AG, I believe, he took over.
That's
from,
Attorney General for those in Rio Linda.
Yes, I mean he wasn't a very good one. He wasn't a very good Health and Human Services guy. Even that man fought with him, who's on his side on stage about that, and we didn't pull that clip. But the reality is, Sarah is running all of them on the same Democratic talking points. That's it. None of them actually heard. And again, I'm a Republican. Everybody knows that. Scott's a Republican. But I haven't really heard anything. Would they have a plan to change anything? Nothing to change nothing. They think everything is just fine. The polls don't show people think everything is just fine. Go to the gas station, go to the grocery store. They did mention Trump 1,000 times. And by the way, what Julie Watts is referring to, and I think did a fabulous job. That's the woman you saw from CBS. Becerra put an attack against other of his Democratic opponents with cuss words in it. And by the way, you know what Katie Porter put out in one of her fundraising emails after Trump almost got shot last Saturday, don't you, Scott?
Tell me.
Well, I guess Scott's not in Katie Porter's list. Well, I am either, but other people told me that. Shocking. By the way, full disclosure, I have not contributed to Katie Porter. In case anyone. So you look at her sometimes and you feel bad for the people around her. So I'm thinking at the grocery store, Katie Porter, like they said, donate to the children, donate to the school. Don't be surprised if next time you go to the grocery store, that I ask you to round up your change to contribute to Katie Porter's staff, because they certainly have taken a lot of abuse. But Katie Porter literally put out a fundraising email day after the President of the United States almost got assassinated. She put out F or expletive deleted Trump, donate to me. And you can look it up and you can Google it. This is exactly what we're dealing with. Becerra putting out cuss words against his opponent on television and radio ads.
Was it Becerra or was it Thurmond or both?
I forget. It was hard to keep track, to be honest with you, because they're all trying to attack each other, one to elevate the other guy. It's kind of fun to watch the Democrats in desperation. The latest polls came out today. They show Becerra kind of bubbling to the top of the Democrats, Hilton bubbling to the top, certainly as the lead candidate, as the Republican, and Bianco not too far behind him. I really don't see polls on the rest of the offices, but you're not seeing a really strong crew of Democrats this time because they don't seem to have anything new. It's kind of like they're piloting this Titanic, which is already on the iceberg, and then gathering the crew, which are the citizens of California, saying, keep us in charge. We have a better idea. You're like, they're the ones that ran us into the iceberg. Okay, and why we're sitting out here without food and water, but you still want to be put in charge. That is literally what it's California.
Becerra sat there with a straight face and said, no, I don't want to cut the gas tax because what will we use to fill the potholes with? You've got to talk about replacing that revenue with something else. Where are you going to get the money? And it's kind of like, oh, wait a minute. They fill the potholes? Really? I mean, how much of our gas tax, which we've talked about as very different things, actually goes to road maintenance? Less than half.
Oh.
The rest goes to the general fund. Sorry, guys.
Actually, and because of that, much of that has actually gone to the bullet train. And for those of you that have taken the bullet train lately, oh, never mind. As I had a buddy of mine who has a
Wait a second. When you say bullet train, doesn't that sound like you're very pro Second Amendment? I mean, isn't that like bad? Unless you're talking about the bullet train to Trump's head, then it's okay.
The best parody song I've heard about the bullet train is actually Killing This Line. A friend of mine put it together in a song and had it performed. Was we want to say goodbye to the bullet train, many of us this side. But Scott, it's really hard to say goodbye when the train's never left the station.
It never left the station. It didn't get there. There is no station and there is no bullet train. But hey, it's never left the station.
And that's just the biggest scandal because of the visible that we talk about. 60 Minutes, who isn't exactly known as a bastion of conservative journalism, even did a segment on it 3-4 weeks ago going, what the heck? It's just.
All right. Before we go too far, I know we've been talking about the debate and the governor's race. Let's talk about other things that are going to be on the ballot besides you for Senate. And everybody, we can't make this point enough. You cannot just go to the polls and vote for governor. You have to vote all the way down the ticket. You're taking that effort to get out to vote. Make sure you vote for Mike Netter for Senate if you live in the San Gabriel Valley. It is necessary.
If you don't move.
If you don't move and then vote. In fact, vote twice. So initiatives. And this is why I throw these pictures up.
Hold on, stop. Before you go there, I want to say facetiously, I was endorsed by the Secretary of State, right?
Oh, tell me, how were you endorsed by the Secretary of State? Secretary of State is
I
Shirley
got
Weber,
my
a
sample
Democrat. So
ballot. Yes, but I got my sample ballot for Los Angeles County. And I was number one on the ballot because of the way the order came across of the 3 people running. And it said very clearly in bold print, right above it, vote for one.
and you're number one. So she's telling everybody to vote for you.
That to be an endorsement. My first time running, I've got a few things to work out. But yes, going through this, and by the way, remember that in this June primary, and Scott brings up a point I want to pound the blank home, okay? We have runoff for state offices like mine and the governor's office. However, for the local city councils, for the board of supervisors, if any candidate, and there's 2 running, gets 50% of plurality, as we call it, plus 1, they win. And many times they win because you've chosen not to vote for that office. So any office you see that is nonpartisan, we have to not only make sure that you vote for somebody else. We can at least continue that debate until November. This is where we get shot down a lot of the time, and this is how people like Tony Thurman, a lot of these politicians get elevated to run for higher office because during the June primary, when you choose not to exercise your right on 100% of the ballot, you're not voting. It's giving those people exactly what they
And you're right. The county races, for instance, if you get more than 50% in the June primary, you win. You don't have to go to a general.
Yeah, that's my point. Exactly.
And those are the county races. But you're right. And some of the state races too, like Board of Equalization or Superintendent of Public Instruction, Tony Thurman's current job, they also, you can win a majority and not have to do a runoff. That saves you tons of time, tons of money. And if you're, let's say, a Republican like Sonia Shaw, if Republicans do a better job of turning out in the primary, Democrats, they just don't push their voters to get out and vote. Only the dead people vote. They don't actually get the live people out there to vote. And so we've got a really good opportunity in some of these races, especially where there's only like 3 candidates in the race, to get that 50% plus 1 in June. And all of a sudden we win. We don't have to show up in November. We're done. And that's why I think you were saying earlier, California Teachers Association is afraid of Sonia Shaw. That's one of the things that could happen, is that she could rally enough people to vote in June and not even have a race in November. That's unlike your race and the partisan races where the top 2 run off in November no matter what, which is what we're talking about for governor, hey, what happens if Chad Bianco and Steve Hilton are the top two and we ace out every single Democrat in June? And then all of a sudden it's between two Republicans. It's probably the only way a Republican is going to win in the state of California. So that goes back to what you were saying, that it's really important that we get out as Republicans and conservatives and vote in June, even if you think, hey, there's no competition in my race or whatever. You need to get out and vote in June, and you need to vote the ballot top to bottom. Okay, before we go too far, we beat that horse dead.
Hold on, I want to give the horse one more whipping here. I want to add that for those of you that campaign, that go door to door, that do other things, this is a critically important point. The top line turnout for both parties is relatively low. But if you're campaigning for your local city council or Mike Netter for state senate, we have a program. You can go to the Republican doors anyway. And you go, what the heck? I got a pile of literature. I'm doing a great deed by taking my pile of Republican literature and going to every house. The problem becomes you may alert some of the low propensity Democrats to vote who don't know there's an election going on. So be aware of that. We want low turnouts. And a big secret, everybody. On the Democratic side, high turnout on the Republican side. So go to the Republicans or independents' homes anyway. Do not stop at the Democrats' home. Don't try to convince the Democrats. You will get them fired up, okay? And they may turn out to vote. Many of them do not know there's an election going on, and you can't make this up. Go ahead, Scott. Let's go on to the next one.
So, as you know, we have our wonderful initiative process in the state of California where the voters can rally and decide things in spite of the politicians. Okay. So there's a couple of them that we promoted as conservatives that are on the ballot. One of them, of course, is voter ID.
In November.
All of these are November. So voter ID is one thing. That's going to be huge, right? And I love it. I heard somebody on the radio the other day talking about she's married and she's insulted that all these Democrats are telling everybody that they can't, that one of the reasons that she would be discriminated against is because they won't have her correct name on the voter rolls. They won't have her married name, just her single name, or vice versa. And it's kind of like she's insulted that people can't get, or that they don't think that she's capable of getting her name changed properly after getting married. But so voter ID is a huge thing. You're going to see things like the pictures you see on the screen now with the Ku Klux Klan, that supposedly Trump and Republicans are trying to keep Black people and people of color from voting, the poll taxes, things like that. They claim that evidently, if you're Black or brown, that you are incapable of getting a voter ID and that it's discriminatory and it'll prevent you from being able to vote. Now, the Democrats should know because they were the ones that started the Ku Klux Klan. They're the ones that started poll taxes and other things to keep Black people from voting, especially in the South after the Civil War. And the Democratic Party became expert at doing that. And so now they want to cheat, and they need to have it be easy to cheat. And they know that voter ID would make it very, very difficult for cheating. And now we're not even talking about, voting same day, absentees, limiting absentees. All we're talking about is if you're going to vote, whether it's in person or absentee, you have to show voter ID, period.
And let's be clear on something here. The hyperbole with the poll tax that they're talking about is, oh my God, people are going to get a passport. Which, by the way, when you get a passport, I've got one of them. They're good for 10 years, but let's put that down. You do not have to have a passport to vote. It's pretty, they're saying, oh my God. And so
you do need a passport to leave the country. So if you are a liberal and you threaten to leave and go to Canada if Trump wins again, please get your passport now so that you don't waste time and you can leave as soon as possible.
No, hold on. I want to correct you there, Scott. I know you're the co-host, but if you are a liberal, I encourage you to go down to immigration. Don't tell them you're from California. Just tell them you're from another country illegally, and we will fly you for free out of the United States and give you $1,000. We do have a federal program to get rid of you. I encourage you to use it.
That's true. And if they don't have a passport, they can't get back in. So that's a win-win. That guarantees a one-way
Gee, I
trip.
left
Okay.
that part out.
I defer to your wisdom on that issue. And then, of course, we talked about Prop 13, Save Prop 13. It goes back and institutes a 2/3 voting requirement to pass taxes, local taxes, things like that. Fantastic. It'll be a great thing. We're not going to have any of these school bonds or some of these other things passing with just a squeaker deal where everybody has to pay higher taxes because you got a couple of liberals or a teachers association that can get the vote out. But the one that came out this week.
I want to add something to that.
Yes.
Many of you right now, okay, in addition to the school bonds and other things that Scott's talking about, the Save Prop 13 was originally supposed to be 1% and then a small local, and you may have noticed that your property tax is up beyond 1%, that your rent's rising, et cetera, et cetera.
You're holding your hand in front of the light and you're shading your face.
I'm trying to be like one of those witness protection programs. No one's supposed to see.
That's right. So that's why the camera's slightly out of focus.
We'll stop the supplemental assessments that you get all the time, which again, the Democrats are chipping away. Hey, what's 1 cent in sales tax? What's 2 cents on sales tax? What's another 1%? Not 1%, 1/2 of 1% on your current property bill. It starts to add up because they keep piling on, because as they say, we always have a revenue problem. It's never us having a spending problem. It's quote like the old alcoholic. Not that I was drinking too much, it's that I was overserved, which is why I wrecked my car. No, you drank too much and you got behind the wheel, you idiot. And you Democrats spend too much and continue to want more of our money, and Save Prop 13 on the ballot will keep them from dipping into more of your wallet, which creates more accountability.
And it would stop things like the mansion tax. For those of you that don't know what that is, in LA, city of LA, if your home is worth more than $5 million, you have to pay a 5% tax on that. So there's a lot of homes that are selling for $4.99999 million in order to avoid the mansion tax. But in LA, it's not hard for a home to get over 5 million. And that 5% may be the difference of whether or not you actually walk away with a down payment or not. And I don't know who the hell gave them the right to take 5% of your home value. I just don't get it.
Let's take that a little step further for those you don't know. That's not just on a home. That's on any property, including commercial office buildings. So that has actually hurt the revenue to Los Angeles because people just aren't selling. That's regardless of equity, which is what California is trying to do with what's so-called transfer tax. Meaning that no matter who you are, no matter what the price is, they want to charge you $60,000 to sell your home. But let's be clear, the government is trying to tax, same with the billionaire tax, tax your equity and your assets you have in things many before you actually sell that asset.
And that's really what the billionaires tax is. The billionaires tax, they're saying that it's only for billionaires. Put that out of your head for a second. What they're basically doing is they're going to take all of your assets and they're going to have to figure out what those are, what your assets are, and what the value is. I mean, you may have a stock that you've held for 30 years and exactly what's the value of it. They go to the current market and use that. And of course, you may have gained a lot of money in the process, but it doesn't matter. They're just going to take 5% of it right off the top. But what they don't tell you in this initiative, now the state's going to be building this big, huge infrastructure to figure out assets, how much assets you got, how much you owe us, write the check, or we'll tear your doors down. What they don't tell you is that the legislature in this initiative has the power to change that. So if they decide, hey, $100 million, you got $100 million or more, that's the new limit. Oh, $1 million or more. I mean, face it, the average home price in LA is probably close to $1 million. And so you got a home that's worth $1 million. All of a sudden they decide you're a millionaire. You can't have that. And not only do they charge you the 5%, but they don't care where you get the money. If you don't have the cash and you have to sell your home to pay this tax, they don't care. They just want the money, period. And this is going to be on the November ballot.
Money transfer tax to when you sell it, because again, they're going to tax upon the tax upon the tax. Again, understand the billionaire's tax opens up a limitless door to how they'll be able to tax your assets. And before many go out there, oh, it's illegal, they can't do that. Yes, they can. Take a step back. Under federal law, under the Constitution, the feds cannot do it. It is up to the states to determine if they want to do that tax. And by putting an initiative on the ballot, if this passes, that opens Pandora's box in California only. And it's probably seen all over the place. You go, well, I'm going to move. Scott, you have a little musical video about moving?
About taxing. Yeah, let me show you this right now. So
Okay.
this is along the same lines. You know, we have the mansion tax, we have the billionaire's tax. This was a letter that was sent, and Mila Joy put it out on X today, and it's from the Franchise Tax Board, California Franchise Tax Board. And you know, it might be hard to read here on the screen, but it's talking about. Here's the opening paragraph. We are examining your California personal income tax return for the year listed above. In order to begin our examination, please provide the following. Okay, these people moved out of California. And so they're basically saying, well, you know, we don't know if you really moved out or not. We want proof. Here's what they're asking for. They want your California schedule, or California 540 NR form, reporting total wages for that tax year. They want complete copies of all your employment agreements or similar documentation that pertain to your employment during that year. They want complete copies of all pay stubs during that year. They want you to provide a brief narrative of the events and circumstances surrounding you becoming non-residents of California. And then the last thing that they're asking for, they want for each shipment of household, personal vehicle, etc. items from California to another state, in this case it's Florida, they want the moving invoices. They want the moving company's household goods inventory list. They want to make sure that you really moved out and that you aren't just faking it and living in California anyway for them to continue to tax you. It's embarrassing. You know, it's Gestapo-like. I'm sorry. You talk about fascist. I know the liberals like to throw that word around, but you know, they're the ones that use it. They're the fascists. So what can I say? All right. So we're going to go with the, you want to go with,
I think I sent a video about leaving California. I forgot which one I sent you.
hold on. Let's see.
Oh, tiptoe through the taxes, Tom Stairs here to play. Billionaire Democrat fuckdart, gonna ruin Cali today. He's a Green New Dealin' fool with his climate cash so cool.
Hey everybody, gather round. I'm here to give you anything you like. You want free college, energy, mortgages, whatever you like. You have come to the right place. Why? I'll tell you why. Who can take your money?
Who can take your money?
With a twinkle in their eye.
A twinkle in their eye.
Take it all away and give it to some other guy. The government.
The government.
The government can.
The government.
It's a catchy little jingle.
And the point of this is really have to understand a couple things. And by the way, I think this point got missed in the debate when we talk about the Green New Deal, ways to generate energy, importing oil. These are all ways that the California, whatever you want to call them, the kings and queens, the Democrats running California, can scam more money. It's not about the green. Scott, let me ask you a question.
Sure.
Since we've been wee lads, by the way, it was more than a month ago. We didn't grow up that quickly. What has been the best way to generate electricity we grew up on?
I'm sorry, what's the cheapest way?
Cleanest and cheapest way.
Oh, well, nuclear's the cleanest.
Nuclear
And
might be
natural gas would be second.
Which one?
Well, I would say nuclear and hydroelectric are the cleanest.
Oh, hydroelectric. Let's go there. That's what we grew up on. Now, now I'm going to give you double credit for the second answer. Because I can't think of anything cleaner than water making things spin, which is going to flow anyway. Okay, and it generates electricity. It built all of Los Angeles, it built all of California. Now, in case you haven't been paying attention, Democrats have plans to tear down 4 dams. They're asking the federal government and California taxpayers pay for that. We've already torn down 2 to help make the salmon flow better, because the salmon are very adamant they have rights. Apparently, they can vote and save the smelt, which is working out for anybody.
Well, don't forget the indigenous people get their hunting grounds back.
You know what's
And
interesting?
I'm not kidding about that.
No, I know you're not, but let me, if you talk to indigenous people today, I'm going to ask you a question. You think they're more interested in going back to hunting or electricity to run their casinos?
Is this a trick question?
Might be. Because no Indian I know today, and I know a few, is out there hunting for food. What they're doing is building casinos which consume electricity on their land. Nuclear is indeed a great option. It takes about 20 years to build a nuclear plant. The reality is, when the Democrats are screaming, clean energy, they are tearing down the dams in California, which produce electricity.
And store water that we very badly need.
Water and power are 2 pretty important things us in California, and the Democrats seem to be against that. And last I checked, that's part of the natural portion of the planet. But before we leave our show tonight, I want to bring up the point that according to Al Gore, okay, the biggest thing we have to be afraid of, and this actually is truly from Al Gore. You can't make this up. Al Gore is 78 years old, he's 76. He is no longer
the inventor of the internet.
The inventor of the internet. Let's give him props where it isn't due. Do you know what he announced he's now worried about?
Well, he was worried about global warming and the climate killing us, man-made global warming.
Correct, but now we've gone away from that. He's now warning us about a new ice age. He goes, that's what man's going to call is a new ice age. Now, I want to give Al Gore some props, because those of you going, give Al Gore props, Al Gore is right. We will have another ice age predicted by scientists based on the way the Earth tilts, and that is going to be in approximately 1,000 years. I do recommend that you buy a coat now why they're still on sale, because in 1,000 years, to insulate us from the cold will be a lot more expensive. They just flip the narrative. They can find something else to make money on. And Al Gore gets about 100 a speech for spewing this nonsense, and it flows downhill, and the Tom Steyers, and everybody else. And by the way, as I mentioned, my over-under is on Tom Steyer being around the next 1,000 years, not to be cool. but the over under on 10, I would take. Okay, so I'll leave it at that. Everyone out there, Scott is closing blast. Here's the thing: vote Republican. I don't care how core Democrat you think you are. The leftists are proposing right now in the Los Angeles City Council that we allow illegal aliens, of which make up about 15% of Los Angeles City's population, to vote. How right do you think that is? We could go on and on. Here's the way it works. The extreme left has taken over the left coast of California, and I think it's time to be extracted them from politics. Scott?
So Nick Shirley came into the state. It took him all of like 2 days, and he uncovered literally hundreds of millions of dollars in fraud. The Democrats still haven't acknowledged that. They haven't done anything to address that. The federal government has indicted, I think it was 26 people, and they had closed down nearly 50 hospice cares that were obviously fraudulent. All in, as a result of basically citizen journalists spending hours where Governor Newsom's crowd couldn't care less. Certainly these guys were probably donating to Democrats and donating to Newsom. I would love to see a study come out on that. But the reality of it is, as Becerra said, the Democrats look at your money as their money, and they don't think they have enough, so they want more of yours. And they're going to do everything they can to get it. They're going to tax billionaires, and then eventually that'll go down to millionaires, and anybody that owns a home in LA is a millionaire. So that includes you. And, mark my words, all these people in LA, they're going to vote Democratic in probably 4 years' time, if not less. Your $1 million home, you will be taxed like a millionaire or like the billionaires are now. And there'll be some excuse of potholes or whatever. We don't have a spending problem. We don't have a revenue problem. We have a spending problem. And if they just cleaned up the fraud, we're talking hospice care, home care, family, elderly, fake boobs and sex change for illegal aliens, free healthcare for illegal aliens. We actually had Newsom going out there spending money, California taxpayer dollars, to incentivize foreign nationals to immigrate illegally to California. He paid for them to come here. We have the high-speed rail, which is a high-speed joke, that now the latest revenue estimates are no longer in the $128 billion range. They came out with a $228 billion price tag just yesterday, I believe it was. The prices keep going up. The deliveries keep going down. The Democrats are inept. They cannot run government. Like Steve Hilton said, if you're going to sit there and invoke the Emergency Powers Act, at least read the law and find out what you can do. The Democrats don't know how to govern. And we've got proof with all this fraud and coming after more and more of our money. But they keep winning Democrat votes by going, it's Trump's fault. Trump. It's all Trump's fault. Even these high gas prices, they're blaming Trump and the war that against Iran, when California already had gas that was $2 a gallon more than the rest of the country. And now they're looking in, it's all Trump's fault. No, it's not. It's Democrats' fault, one-party government. And I'm sorry to say it and to be this blunt, but if you, as a voter, don't get your act together and vote for somebody that's going to save this state, you may as well call U-Haul up yourself, because you're not going to be able to survive here under the climate that the Democrats have. Mike, tell us about your election.
My primary takes place along with everybody else, but I want to be perfectly clear. We need to elect politicians, and I'm one of them, that aren't.
You're sitting there in the shadows. Okay, tell us.
I don't lose my light here tonight. The whole night's been a technical whatever. Is hyperbole about what they're ranting against, not what they're ranting for. The reality is this: I will stand under the light, how's that, Scott, and do
Hey, I love that.
job. And that's what the Democratic politicians, the incumbent politicians, some even Republicans in California aren't doing, is the actual job. Don't worry about the thing that you want to stop, that you can't stop. Quit worrying about you don't have enough to do your expeded, deleted job. And your job is to protect the public. Your job is to keep our taxes affordable and to make an environment businesses can thrive, so we have people to buy from and we have a free hand of the economy that brings gas prices down, brings the economy up. And the thing they haven't figured out how to get tax sunshine. And if they do, we're really in trouble. We got more sunshine than any state that has bought more bad politicians to surface than the other state.
So vote early, vote often.
Right. Mike Netter for state senate. But also remember, state senate and state assembly are offices many of you don't vote for. Your neighbor doesn't vote for. We've got to have people turn out and vote for those offices and vote for, frankly, people like me that will stand up for you, yes, your values, but also your economics, and leave you with something that you can be proud of and live in every day. It's our damn state. It's up to us to take it back, and it's time we did. We are California Free Radio. We will return next week.
All right, back from behind the blue curtain. Enjoy this.
They said trust the experts while they locked up the town. Gave us 12 more genders. Took our paychecks down. Flag on the porch. They call you extreme while they cash big checks and scream on your screen. Tear up the script like it's 1776. Hey, hey. They're allergic to bricks and sticks. All bark, blue check, big talk, no grit.